Hi everyone, this is Nikki Rowland for Hip Kit Club, and today I am making a layout using the October main kit only. I'm also using one of our subscriber exclusive cut files. Now I've cut it from one of the Paige Evans papers. It's the one with the trees all over one side. On the other side it's in 4 different colours, so it's got pink, green, like a golden colour and a burgundy colour. So I have managed to cut the cut file at exactly the right point on the page, so that I have all 4 colours appearing on my cut file. So happy days. Took me a little while to figure that out on the Silhouette software, and I was a bit worried that I would ruin the only piece of paper I had left, but actually it worked out really well. So I've already cut that, and I have backed each frame with a piece of white cardstock. I have also backed the pumpkin and the flowers just with some white cardstock as well, just so that I have one piece of the cut file is one piece that I can move around, and that nothing from the background will shine through. So what I thought I would do is I would try to use a pattern paper for my background. Now I'm not very good at this, so I tend to be better with white backgrounds and a small amount of pattern paper, or like a big strip of pattern paper or something like that, but an actual pattern paper background gives me some difficulties. So anyway, I thought I would attempt this, try and get myself out of my comfort zone, and I actually failed completely miserably, and you'll see that all go wrong later on. So this is me preparing my my pattern paper background. So I have got the frame that I cut the cut file from, which I thought would make a really nice background border around the edge, and then I have a piece of Pretty Little Studio Indian Summer paper for my background. Now the background paper that I've chosen is quite subtle. It doesn't have loads of pattern on it. It's not really bright or crazy. It's mostly white. You would think that this really wouldn't be that much of a problem, but it definitely ended up being a problem. I just didn't like what it looked like, and actually looking at it on video it looks fine, so I don't know why in real life I just don't seem to be able to do it. I just couldn't make it work. So what I thought I would do is I would put some white paint over the pattern so that it didn't look quite so bright. Not that it's really bright at all. So anyway, there we go. I'm going in there with my acrylic paint, white acrylic paint, and I'm just going to moving it around a bit so that I have a bit of a white glow around my cut file instead of the pattern paper. So you can still see the pattern, but it's just dulled down a little bit. So I thought this was the answer to my problems, and I thought that this would be good. I would be able to work with it like this. And then now it's all dry, and I have also added some gold machine stitching around each one of my frames. So yeah, I'm not that great at stitching straight. Well, actually I'm not that great at stitching in a circle, or like a good circle, but stitching straight is not too bad. So I've gone around the edge of each frame with my sewing machine and gold thread. So I use a We Are Memory Keepers metallic gold thread, which works really well through sewing machines because it's oiled, so therefore it slides through nicely and doesn't bunch up, and it doesn't break, like split. So it's a really good thread to use. So that's what I've done, just so a little bit of pretty gold metallic around each one of my photos that's stuck inside my frames. So I'm looking at the background now with my frame on top, and I hate it. I absolutely hate it, and I'm just going with it. I'm trying to make it work. I'm trying to go with it, run with it, but I'm just not feeling it. So at the moment I'm just still working out what embellishments will work with this layout. I kind of envisioned in my mind this big spray of flowers and things in the middle of the frames, and then the whole thing kind of like exploding out from the center of the frames. Now I'm working with this big pumpkin die cut. It's from the exclusive ephemera pieces, and unfortunately my pumpkin doesn't have a stalk. I don't know what happened. It must have got ripped or damaged or something in production, but my pumpkin does not have a stalk. So anyway, I've just like trimmed it round so that it looks like it has supposed to have a very small stalk, but it just bothers me the whole way through this layout that it's not right. So in the end I end up covering up quite a lot of that pumpkin because because the stalk was offending me. So anyway, you can see that I'm building up my pattern now, and I've built it up so much in the middle of the frames that you basically can't see that it's four separate pieces, as opposed to it kind of now reads as one large piece. Anyway, right, there we go. I'm hating it so much that I'm just going to start all over again. So I'm discarding that background completely, and there's my trusty piece of white cardstock. I'm so much happier now. So that piece of paper, pattern paper background, is discarded. Hopefully will get used on another project, but at the moment it's been discarded, and I'm loving this so much better already. The colours pop so much better on the white rather than on the pattern, and it just makes my heart happy to have white background as opposed to the pattern. So I really wish I could do it. I really wish that I could use pattern paper for my background, but it just doesn't work for me. So here I'm coming in with another subtle pattern paper, determined to get some pattern paper onto this background. And I've decided that I'm going to use a big strip of this paper. Now, this is one of my favourite papers in this month's kit. It's got lovely words all over it. It's quite subtle. It's a white background. Some of the words are highlighted, and it's got lovely colours on it, and it's like a text print, sorry. And I really loved it, and I can't use it as a full background because I just can't do that, but a large piece of it on this paper, on this layout, is making me happy. I'm liking it. I'm not really liking it, so I'm just going to go for it. You can tell I'm happy because I've stuck it straight down. Normally I would leave it there for quite some time whilst deciding whether this is definitely the way forward. But no, I'm definitely happy, so I've stuck it down already. So I'm going to go with this. I really love how this layout turned out, actually. So even though it just was a bit of a disaster to begin with, it works out that all mistakes or all things that don't go according to plan can be turned into happy projects. So here we go. I am happy now with my layout looking like this, with this split piece of pattern paper. I really love that print, so I'm so happy that I've got to use a large part of it on layout. And I'm just going to now go ahead and start embellishing my frame. So I have got my pumpkin, like I said, my problem pumpkin, and I've now stuck a fox on it. And I'm going to stick some more bits on it as well, and in the end I end up covering up pretty much all of it because of the problem with the stalk. So I'm just building up, and I'm aiming for colour on colour, or tone on tone, so I'm aiming for pink leaves to be poking out of the pink frame. Oh, I lost that one, it's disappeared underneath the frame completely. So I love the vellum leaves that were in this month's main kit. They're really pretty. They're not vellum as I normally think of it, because the colours of them are so intense, so it's just a different texture really, as opposed to a different look, because they could pass as paper because of the way that they look. They are so intense, the colour. I'm faffing around with this title. So I have got this title there that says October, make it an October to remember, and I really love it. I think it's a lovely saying, but I just can't get on with it. It gets moved around all over the place, and stuck down and taken off again, and stuck down again and moved around, and in the end I don't think I use it at all. But I really did like the sentiment of it, make it an October to remember. So anyway, that's there at the moment, but it does get moved, and I'm still moving forward with my colour on colour or tone on tone embellishing of this centre part of the frame, and I'm trying to make sure that I leave white space in between the frames themselves, because like I said, when I laid it all up before, I had way too much going on, and it read as one solid piece rather than four separate frames. So that was upsetting me too, so I didn't end up going with that. So I definitely wanted to make sure I avoided that this time round. You can say again, you can tell I'm pretty happy because I'm sticking most of these things in place as I go. And the layout is coming together a lot quicker than what it did initially. So sometimes we have to go through this process, right, before we can be happy with something and move on. So say still sticking with the whole colour on colour thing, I've got the words. I love the puffy stickers, word stickers, phrase stickers. from this month's kit. They're so gorgeous. They're exclusive to Hip Kit. And they have some really, really lovely autumn sayings on them. So we've got splendid, I've got colourful, and I've got autumn down the bottom, and then I've got the word sweet. Now there was no green stickers, so that caused me problems with my colour on colour, but I went for the darker, it's kind of like a greyish, tealy kind of colour. It's really not green at all, but it worked, it really worked. So I've got the right coloured words on the right coloured squares. And then I'm coming in now just with some extra bits and pieces. So the chipboard was really lovely. They've got all these lovely icons on them. Sometimes with chipboard, the pieces are just huge, but this set is so lovely. It's got lots of little bits, and that makes me really happy. So here I'm coming in to cover up my pumpkin again. So I've just stuck a flower over the stalk there completely. Oh, and now I'm sticking it behind the stalk, and now I'm adding a few other bits there. So actually I do end up with this. I end up with 2 acorns there. So that does actually solve finally the pumpkin stalk problem. But the problem is now you can't really tell it's a pumpkin in the middle at all. But you know what? It's fine. We'll go with it. It was just unfortunate that my pumpkin had got damaged. So, you know, no mistakes, only opportunities. You know, these things happen. And even though it wasn't a perfect die cut, I've still managed to make it work just about. So one of my other assignments today, apart from use the main kit only, was to use stitching, which of course I've already done around my photos, and also to use my favourite punch. Well, this is a new punch, and I bought it because Yana had it, and I loved it so much. And also a few kits back, we had these fabric bows in the kit, and they were you had to assemble them yourself, and they were really, really lovely. So I thought this would be a great way. It's very tiny, the bows are really small, but they're so cute. So I've punched them out of each of the 4 colours of pattern paper, and I've assembled each one. I could have mixed and matched, but because I'm going with the whole colour on colour thing, I stuck with the same colours. And then I ran each middle section through my sewing machine with a gold thread, and that's just because I'm worried that my bows won't hold. I could have used my my hot glue gun, that probably would have held them in place, but I was just worried that the pieces are so tiny that my tape gun wouldn't have held them in place. I felt they needed something a bit more. So I ran the middle section through my sewing machine, and then just tied the threads together on the back and to cut them off, and then I've stuck them onto my layout with glossy accents. So they're definitely not going anywhere now, definitely not. So I'm just kind of finishing up now, still adding lots of little bits and pieces. I'm basically like faffing, really, just you know, bit here, bit there. I love the little things, all the little bits. So I had some hearts on the chipboard sheet, yeah, just making sure everything's stuck in place. I keep moving my bows by accident there because they're stuck with glossy accents, and the glossy accents is not dry yet. I keep moving them around, they keep sliding off of the place they should be. Yes, just making sure that they stay in place, and adding some extra foam pads under my photos because I stuck quite far in from the edges to make sure that I could tuck bits under. So therefore, my photos, they were collapsing in places. So a few more foam pads have sorted that out, no problem. Here I come back with that make this an October to remember title that I was so desperate to include because I love the sentiment so much, but I just still couldn't even make it work up here. And in the end, I have to admit defeat, and I don't use it at all. So there you go. I think so now what I'm doing is I'm moved on from that sentiment, and I'm going for the word days. So under the word autumn, it now says autumn days, and that works really well because I've obviously got sweet, splendid, colourful autumn days. So they all work super well with this layout. So I'm just handwriting in my journaling now, just a little couple of words about where we were that day, and we obviously having some good pumpkin fun, and just getting the date in there. And then finally I have just run all the words through the sewing machine as well. Okay, so that's me done. Thank you so very much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and that was Niki Rowland for Hip Kit Club.